We are back. Back, baby, for Musings, Mere Mortals, Musings. Yes, you are listening to our wonderful voices. Check us out on the video as well if you want to see me not wearing a beanie. Oh, damn, but he's got...
Not part of the beanie crew.
Karen's got his beanie going. I would run it right now to go get one, but generally with this audios, you don't want to just like skip away and do all this editing. You do not want to do that.
That's it.
Anyways, Musings, as always, is a bit of a look back at the week.
The week that was,
the learnings, the takeaways. What can you learn from Mere Mortals? I'm going to start us off.
Okay.
And I've done something on my phone, which I want to show you, not show everyone. So you're probably aware of it. It is the do not disturb button,
come on, man.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, everyone knows about this. I don't know how often people use it. I've had it on my phones for 5 years, 6 years, right?
Yeah.
Now... there's two options for the do not disturb.
Okay.
You can have it as like the normal do not disturb, but you still see things coming through.
Yeah.
Or you have the full do not disturb, but nothing comes through, right? And it comes back to something that I was talking about with a mate actually said this to me today. He was talking about some other things. And he said, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And it made me think that I haven't been using the do not disturb tactic on my phone or in a lot of other spaces very well. And I've always become entangled, especially through this past week. I was talking about it a little bit earlier, I think in Meanderings, earlier on the week, where I was just finding that there was all these things happening and I had to like actually take some time to step back and go, okay, I've got to not focus on all these things. And I was finding that I was spending probably a lot of time on the phone now. I didn't realize it then. But over the last 3 days, I've been like, okay, I'm properly going to be using the do not disturb on my phone. And I did it on Friday for a period of work. I did it on Saturday when I was hanging out with the family, playing some basketball. And I just found that I was doing the things that I wanted and I wasn't focusing on everything else that could have been coming on my phone. And once I disabled the do not disturb, there was just a torrent of information coming through. And then I was like, mindset started shifting there. But it just made all the difference for those particular moments.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Not so much I think many people use that, right?
Yeah.
But again, some people want to be connected and there's a balance, there's a dichotomy. But I think it's just the key takeaways. Yes, you can do anything, but you can't do everything.
Yeah.
That's so true, man. So true.
Well, I've actually just been noticing the past probably month, I almost have it on 24/7 now. I'm getting very close because
24/7 on the do not disturb sign. Cool. Okay.
Yeah. So that's something that's sort of just been creeping in because I used to only use it for sleeping. I don't want to hear bings and whatever during the night. So I always had it on for that.
If you're near my phone, just put context on me and Mortal, right? My phone, if I didn't have this on do not disturb, goes off probably once a minute for the entire day. Like from the morning to nighttime, once a minute. It's probably not changing.
Yeah. See, mine's not as bad as that, but it just does annoy me, man. And even just recently, like I've started putting it on when I'm studying Spanish because I just don't want to hear that ka-ting, ka-ting, whatever it is popping up. And I'm actually sort of starting to think that maybe I should just block all my notifications in that sense because I only use like the social media and stuff in very particular ways. So Instagram, for example, I really only go on when I'm exercising and in between sets, that's when I'll use it. The rest of the day, I notice myself going onto it, but it's not in a productive way. So that's where I'm sort of starting to think like, maybe I should start getting real strict with myself and being like, no, I can only do this here and this here and this here. And that would sort of negate even the use for it.
Yeah. It just moves it into a much more mindful interaction as opposed to just like, whatever, just wasting time for the wasting sake.
Yeah. And man, I still do that, man. I was doing a book review today and was sort of having to do some prep for it. So I was writing down, I guess, my notes from the book, what I thought, just getting my thoughts in order.
Yep.
And there was a point where I'd right at the start, I'd written the name of the title, I'd written when it was published. And then I was sort of starting to think like, what's like the overview of the book? How can I put this down? And then 5 minutes later, I find myself looking up the weather in Germany because I wanted to know when's it going to be cold in Germany. And then I started thinking, what? I don't even want to go to Germany. Like that's not even like I want to go to Switzerland maybe, but why Germany? How did I get to Germany? And I was trying to figure out
flight.
Like how did I get to wanting to know the weather in Germany of all places? So there's definitely some room for me to fix these distractions still. I think I do relatively well, but there's definitely more room. Yeah.
I'd recommend it to people who don't use it. Do not disturb on your phone.
Yeah.
Utilize it in the best way possible.
Yeah. Nice. Yep. So one of the things that came up for me was Latinos. My faith has been restored. We're back to Latinos. So
Success.
I met up with a lovely lady called Anna, and I think this is something that's going to take my Spanish to the next level.
Nice.
And for this year, one of my goals, my yearly goals, was to plan and prepare for taking a Spanish exam. And I've been doing that by reading a lot. I've been doing that by speaking a lot in front of a camera. I've been doing that by reading, listening, speaking, the general ones, listening to podcasts as well in Spanish in the mornings and whatnot.
Yep.
And I sort of see myself getting to the point, I think in about 3 months' time, where I'm going to stop the actual study as much and try and transition it more into actual meeting with people, because that was such a pleasant experience, man. Just, meeting someone randomly off the internet was super cool. Just meeting with her, we discussed about Colombia, about all sorts of things.
Yep.
We sort of switched between English and Spanish. It was just awesome, man. We actually went, I forgot to mention this to you, but she needed to get something printed to get her fingerprints signed and documents signed, because that's what you do in Colombia. You need so many things to sign and print and put your whatever on. And we went to Officeworks, and she was sort of saying look, I might need to use you as a translator a little bit, because I just don't know all the words,
some of the exacts
for how to scan a copy of this thing, but I want to print it in a special format, whatever.
Yeah.
And we go in, and the two dudes who served us were both Latinos as well. So I was not needed in that context, and that was
not useful. But you probably still spoke Spanish in that context.
Yeah. They switched between English and Spanish as well, which was funny. Okay. So that was just a little incident with me.
Interesting. Which was cool. Well, it is very important. I think once you get to a point where you learn a language from reading or listening or watching some TV or movies or whatever, when you can converse in 70%, 60% of the way, that is probably the best way to continue just learning and solidifying the language. Yeah. Because once you speak it, even I feel that way sometimes when I go weeks not speaking Spanish, and I have 1 or 2 sessions with just talking to family or with random Latinos, and all of a sudden I just go all the way back up to my normal knowledge of Spanish and speaking. So recommend that to people who are learning a language, and if you haven't spoken in a while. I think you even gave this recommendation: either find someone from that country and just go speak to them. Even buy them a coffee. Be like, I'll buy you a coffee, and we can just go speak for an hour of your time. And just have a chat.
Yeah, and that transitions nicely into the other learning for me this week, which was, man, I feel I need to start being a proponent of social media. They get bagged on a lot. It gets trashed on a lot. It's the cause of everyone's problems, blah, 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 blah. But I had a big break from it from 2013 to, I'd say, 2019. I had about a 6-year break from everything. The only thing I maybe used was WhatsApp while traveling.
And YouTube. But you don't even consider that. You don't really consider that social media.
For as far as connecting with people directly, and
peer-to-peer connection.
Yeah, and recently I have just been having an absolute blast on it, man. I've been using it to meet up with random people from Facebook. So like I did with Anna yesterday. I've been using it to find different podcasts. And so another thing that just happened to me and I realized was so bizarre. Today I listened to a Nigerian podcast. A businessman in Nigeria was giving his tips on how things work there, how you structure your business, and he was talking with another businessman about connecting with people and blah, blah, blah. And I just went, man, this is strange, right? Where else are you ever going to find something like this? Any time and place.
It's hard for you to find that sort of information.
This is really something new in the sense that I was listening to a dude, and obviously he was speaking in English, so there's a bit of a crossover there. But let's just think in 5 years, 10 years down the time, if we have some sort of translation app that's very, very good. You can listen to a dude speaking in Swahili or whatever, assuming he's got a basic podcast or something like that.
Yeah.
And you'll be transported to a different world. So
that is true.
Well,
where are you going to find words like sisu? And learning what that actually means. We were talking a little while ago.
Do you still know what it means?
It means in essence, it means when you know that you've pushed yourself to the point of your limit and you mentally keep going. You choose to keep going. Sisu. I reckon the translator thing would like break. It's like trying to like say sisu back to English and it'd just be like, and then it just say to itself, sisu. Like it would know it's broken itself.
It's all the hidden meanings behind some of those words. Yeah.
Nice. I like that. I want to check one of the learnings that I also read just recently. In fact, 17 minutes ago or something like that. Let the first impulse sink in. Wait for the second one to come. This actually called out to me because there was a couple of times, and think about it from purchasing, and you get a purchaser's remorse, right? When you buy something and you get remorse like 10 minutes later, you're like, why did I purchase this?
Yeah.
This can of mother right here. I didn't just buy one. I bought two.
Ooh.
And I bought two because it was like two for $5.99.
Yeah, of course.
One for $4, two for $5. I've got to get it, right?
A bargain.
At first, my first impulse was like, get it, of course. Now, if I really stopped and thought about it, just with any sort of purchase, if I really thought, do I really need it? I would have gone, actually, I just need the one. And it's $4. And actually, it's saving me money than getting two.
Yeah.
In the end, I kind of like stacked myself because I went to purchase the two. The dude didn't give me a discount. So he ended up charging me $8.
Oh, really?
And I was walking to my car and I was like, wait a minute. So I went back and I'm like, hey, give me $2.
Yeah.
Which is like all this mess about, wasted all this time. And in the end, I'm like, whatever. And then I was complaining to you about the content of sugar on the other one. Now, it sort of made me feel at that very low level. It's like, sometimes just let that first impulse on whatever it may be, whether it's purchasing a car, a house, you've met someone and you're falling deeply in love. You're finding a friend. You're fighting with someone. Sometimes you'll find like you'll get this first impulse. Sometimes you're gonna let that just sink in, let it sink in, let things pass, and then wait until the second hit. So if I'd let that pass for a little bit, 1 to 2 minutes, did something on my phone, whatever, and I still looked up and I went, yeah, I want to.
Yeah.
Then do it, right? You thought about it. You've had a little bit of time to go from that irrational amygdala response where it's like, get it cheap, discount, get some energy.
Yeah.
To, okay, I've thought about it. Yes, I am going to use it. I'm going to have it tomorrow. It's going to blah, blah, blah. Awesome. You made a rational choice. Get on with your day.
Yeah.
So I don't do this enough. I reckon my amygdala response is still very, very much a one-driven thing. Moves me to sub-mere mortal moment sometimes. So I got to go to a more rational mere mortal level much more often. I don't know if you've experienced that too much as well.
Dude, it's insidious all the time, man. All the time. And it's usually with the worst things. So it's not usually with like a healthy thing. Like you very rarely see, apples 5 for $5 or whatever it is. It's discount. It's always with rubbish that you really don't need that extra bit of. So for me, I hate buying 6-packs.
Yep.
Because I always think, man, if I bought a full carton of beer or whatever I'm drinking, it's that much cheaper per bottle. And so there was definitely a period where I was buying full cartons for something because it was cheaper and then drinking all of them just because I had them.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I've definitely managed to shut that off somehow. I think it's more through luck than anything else, like not a conscious effort on my part.
Yep.
But now I don't have drinks just laying around the house. Now it's only if I need something, I'll go out and get it, and I'm probably only going to get the exact amount I need rather than, save money by, spending more money.
Well, it's a whole marketing tactic. I don't know if you've heard this. It's like businessman selling watermelons now. One watermelon, $4. But then he also offers 3 for $10.
Yeah.
And so everyone's like, what are you doing? Like, if I buy 2 individual ones, I might as well just be buying 3. Dude's like, you can get some discount or whatever else. And he's like, well, that's dumb. I'm just going to go and buy 3 for $10 rather than buying your one individual for watermelon. Like, no one's going to do that.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, who's the smarter one there? Well, the businessman's getting to sell 3 watermelons each time rather than the 1 watermelon that people might have bought.
Yeah.
So, sometimes first impulse, you miss the overall picture, or perhaps like your thought process is very orientated on just raw animal-like instincts from yourself. And you got to step away and be like, okay, what's the human actually saying here?
For sure.
So,
the other one just connected with those is the sale signs. So you'll see this in the supermarkets all the time. Half price, like all the yellow stickers everywhere.
Or new or something like that.
Yeah. The best examples of this, and I see it regularly because where I go to shop, I sort of pass by it all the time, is I think it's called Robin's Kitchen. And they just have plastered
everywhere
70% off everywhere, every single time. Like I don't think I've ever been in there and not seen a discount. Something that's not on.
To give you the listener a bit of an idea of what that looks like, right? So imagine walking past a shop and you can't see the items that are on sale. It's just the sale light. It's just a sale like images and pictures and hangers everywhere, and then you can kind of see like, oh, there's a pot there, or there's a little chopstick over here. It's just nuts.
The other one with that was, I think it was EB Games. For a while they had something very similar, like almost streamers coming down from the roof. It was like a maze that you had to get through to get to the front counter because there was just shit hanging everywhere. So
I've got an interesting one I was want to talk to you as well. Have you heard of a guy called Dr. Phil Zimbardo? Phil Zimbardo.
He's the dude who did the Stanford experiment.
Yes. I want to talk to you about this one because I just listened to episode 228 of How to Not Be Evil. Tim Ferriss interviewed Dr. Phil Zimbardo. Now, for people who don't know of the 1971 Stanford prison experiment, I don't know how familiar you are with it.
Pretty
familiar. Little context. Essentially, they just got a random scattering of individuals in 1971 who went to Stanford.
I'm pretty sure they're all grad students.
And they just got them to essentially be flip of a coin. Half are going to be prisoners, half are going to be the individuals who looked after them, or security guards.
Yeah.
Now, what happened was it was planned to be 2 weeks of this particular experiment, and they had to cut it short at 6 days because what they found after 24 hours, and it was an experiment that was running 24/7, and after just 24 hours, they saw how sadistic the security guards or the pretend security guards were being on the prisoners and how subservient the prisoners were becoming and allowing them to do a couple of things. So one of the things I actually took from it because then there was a test done, I think it was like 10 years later in relation to authority and power and damage. And they found that in this other experiment as well, when someone who they believed had authority, which in this case was like someone wearing just a lab coat, and there wasn't anything under authority, they could force individuals to press a button to shock people almost to the point of killing them, like lethal
or what they thought would kill them. The people in the other room
just purely by the actual power. So one of the things I actually listened to it, so it summarized it down to, if encouraged by authority, regular people through power can transform into ruthless oppressors. And then listening to the whole thing just made it so when you think about it, the really low levels, sometimes any sort of human being, by a little trigger, you can turn into a real asshole, like a real pain.
For sure.
Sometimes you're like, you're driving and like a little thing can tick you off, something else can tick you off, and that third thing comes and you're like, that's it. Or you've got power, so you just get like really ruthless with people. You're like, get out of my way. I am the person who's in charge here, or I'm the person who's in power, and you're completely doing something wrong. And just reading more into that experiment and others like it, just sort of crystallizes how fast humans who you wouldn't even imagine, just regular people, through that like influence of power, can transform them into just really ruthless sort of individuals, and how easy it can be to flip that to any sort of person. It almost made me really think about when you're treating people, especially people who might be at the boundaries of, you got your regular folk, but then there might be someone who's actually pushing at that, okay, that person can be a little bit dangerous, or that person's, a little bit off, to be even more conscious of the fact that, if you push the wrong way, that can go really, really bad really quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know if you took away anything else from that particular experiment.
Well, yeah, so there's a couple of things from that. One is that actual experiment is just that. It's a single study, and I've seen a lot of things sort of not refuting it, the outcomes of it or the science of it, but more just saying like, look, this was it was a social study, so it's always going to be fraught with sort of danger. So for example, they didn't get a random set of people. They got
all graduates,
young male graduates who are probably statistically going to be like the most violent, like as far as who's the most violent in society, it's young males. So they're the ones who are definitely going to behave more like that in any case. So yeah,
you're already positioned to potentially go down that path.
Yeah, and I believe there was a couple of other things with that study which sort of showed that if he wasn't prompting them to act in certain ways, there was maybe like an unconscious bias to getting like the study to prove what they thought was going to happen. Now this is coming after the whole Nazi regime, the whole the socialist regime in Russia, where they very similar things. They had just statistically not enough psychopaths to be running the camps, to be killing all the people, to be torturing and whatever. So obviously we've seen in history that this is a common phenomena, and but just taking too much from that single study, just be careful of that, because I have heard some things about, because it is just a single study.
That's true. One of the other things though that they ended up discussing, right, Tim and Phil, was one particular thing which I linked it back to Stoicism, which he was talking about being devious for a day to get yourself used to what other people might influence you to do based on authority or power, and for you to be able to push back on it and then understand how that can be happening in other places. So the example that they gave was, draw a little square on your forehead with whiteboard marker or whatever, and just go the whole day. And you will see how many people start being like, rub that whiteboard marker, rub that square off your forehead. And if you start if you just be like, nope, you don't have to, you just want to choose to do so. This sort of just throughout the day, whatever you do throughout life, you're going to get people being like, no, don't do that. You should stop doing that. And that's what we're talking about, being devious for a day. So after that day and you rub it off, you'll get an understanding of okay, I can see how you'll feel like you have to go and rub it off because someone's telling you. And it's getting that experience of feeling, obviously not about a stupid square, but then when there's other aspects of life, when something's pushing you to do something because of authority or for a particular reason, more that suits them as opposed to what really for you, you can get used to that feeling of being, okay, well, I don't actually have to do that. I can choose to do that if I so want to, and gives you much more, loop it all the way back, you're much more rational about your decision as opposed to just being raw and just because someone to do it and tells you to do it and you're just trying to fit in. So
yeah,
it's an interesting one. I thought about that square experiment, right? And I think that halfway through the day, I'd feel like, oh, okay, I think I'm dumb. I'm being dumb now. I probably should rub it off. I think a lot of people would feel that way too.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking, when you said that, I was thinking more of like breaking actual, maybe if not written laws, but unwritten laws. So like
society's norms.
Yeah, so sort of like holding the door open for people, or you leaving the shopping trolley cart.
Well, that's
in the car park.
That's illegal. That's when we come to power, right? So we're going to be consumed by power.
Yeah.
And as mere mortals, we will consider you sub-mere mortals.
Sub-mere mortal.
And that's it. Your punishment is we'll put you in the shopping cart.
Turn you upside down.
Yeah, and then we'll just throw you down a hill or something.
Yeah,
and then you can
I'm
do
keen with that, man.
Yep.
If that's what's required to stop people leaving their shopping carts.
Biggest learning you can take from mere mortals.
Yeah.
Don't leave shopping carts in the streets. Jeez.
Yeah.
Gosh.
There was one other thing you sort of triggered me to talk about, which was I just finished the Gulag Archipelago.
Gulag.
And that's it's a horrifying book for sure. Like once you,
even the name of it just sounds horrifying.
Archipelagos. Hell of a name. And he definitely had that same sort of thing where he was talking about, look, not everyone in this, not as much as say Ordinary Men by Christopher Browning, which takes like ordinary men and saying like, look, this is what they managed to do in the Nazi regime, which was like evacuating the ghettos and just killing people, and absolutely horrible. But for him, it was more, I guess, that aspect of these people are cruel and sadistic, and it was more the system that sort of shaped them up to be like that. And it was just very interesting reading the whole book of how they got into such a bad predicament where you couldn't tell the truth. Like the truth was meaningless. It's probably a topic for another podcast, to be honest, to get in deep. But just a very bad system they managed to create over there for 40 years, even longer than that, I suppose.
If you want to listen to more of that, though, you should check out the book review when it does come out.
Coming out
like Archipelago.
2 weeks, something like that.
I'll be looking forward to that.
2 or 3 weeks.
Look, nothing much more from us here at Mere Mortals. This has been our musings where we look back. If you a feeling like you want to look back further, if you want to investigate us more, you want to hear some of our theme podcasts, you want to see our beautiful faces covered with beanies. Where can they find us, Karen? Where can they check us out?
Go to YouTube. We're getting a following.
Yep.
Got three subscribers in the last day or two.
Woo. Speed. Woo. Speed. We actually had to slow down. We held onto the table right because I felt like I was going so fast.
Exactly.
New cars, new speed. Now this.
Yep.
Can't slow us down. Now the other places, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, if you're into that sort of thing. You can catch me on LinkedIn, on my professional profile. Sometimes I share some good stuff.
Yeah, go to LinkedIn.
There.
That's something new.
Yep. Couple of places there. Listen to our interviews and everything in between. You might have noticed we're starting to see almost daily releases.
Getting close to it, man.
There's probably a reason behind it. So we'll share more of that as it comes on.
I want to know more already.
You want to?
Yeah.
Well, you can check out the next episode. We might go into
subscribe.
it. Yeah, you need to subscribe. That's right. If you haven't subscribed by now and liked, do so.
Yeah.
Remember, if you do it now, you can tell your family and friends in 3 years' time that you were here at the beginning of Mere Mortals.
For sure. Well, I know PewDiePie, for example. There's a couple of people who still have active accounts who subscribed, like were within the first 100 subscribers.
Dang.
So you could be on that. You could be on that. I will personally send someone a shirt if we get 1,000 subscribers and they comment saying I was here in the first 50 on YouTube. If they do that, I will personally send them a shirt with anything on it. Anything on it. It'll be like my account, my second account.
Who's this person? It'll be my account. Yeah,
Michael.
Anyways, that's it. Enough talking. One out.
Karen out.